What movies had the perfect ending but were ruined by a sequel? Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I mean, Indy riding into sunset, what a beautiful end to the series, but no, The Boy. Plot twist at the end of first movie is quite genius and makes film something much more interesting than just another generic haunted doll in a scary place. And that's basically what second movie is. It pretty much retcons first movie by throwing out the window the best thing about it, American Psycho. The second one makes zero sense, absolutely nothing about it relates to the first movie. They have Bateman in it for a minute murdering someone and completely throw out the fact that most of the first movie was all in Bateman's head by making him a serial killer spoiler who gets murdered by a child. Wreck-It Ralph, because the sequel had so many plot points go blatantly against the lessons and rules established by the first. Alien 3 started by killing off Newt. Ripley descended into hell to save Newt in Aliens 2 and then Newt doesn't even survive hypersleep. Independence Day. Terminator 2. The Boondock Saints. Pirates of the Caribbean after the first 3 movies. And if they ever do a remake or a sequel to the Back to the Future trilogy, we must consider it as an atrocity and a crime against movie making. Toy Story 3. Perfect end to the series, ruined by cash grabbing. TS4 is good, but it was completely unnecessary. Indiana Jones. Last Crusade had the perfect ending, but no, they had to ruin it with a rubbish 4th movie. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I love that film. It makes me feel better when I'm sad or sick. I was so excited for the sequel. It was but hostile. Paxton could be a horror hero like Cash Evil Dead, but instead he was thrashed in the beginning and substituted by a girl in Hostel 2. The Descent. The European ending was perfect and then they had to screw it up for the American release. Had I seen the second ending first, it would have completely ruined the movie for me. I'll never watch that sequel. The Mummy Returns. Not even the ending, more just that the third movie sucked. Allegedly one of the reasons Rachel Weisz wasn't in it is because she read the script and it was so bad that she didn't want to do the movie. They should have honestly just left it there. I hate when movies replace actors and act like nothing happened. Jaws. I refuse to see any of the sequels. None of them should exist. Why? Jaws is blown up at the end. He's destroyed. End of story. Going out on a limb here, The Fast the Furious. Dom escapes, Brian walks away into heroic but mysterious. The series doesn't turn into potato chip CGI orgies crapped out every year forever. I know I'll get hate for this, but Iron Man Endgame. Endgame would have been a perfect time to end the collective narrative, with future solo movies with cameos and or team-ups. Rambo. The first was an interesting look into the psychology of a traumatized, antisocial, but basically good war veteran, and what assholes with power will do to people that don't fit into their controlled world. The sequels are basically jingoist propaganda. I'd go about a perfect ending, but it still baffles me that there are not one, but 3 Lost Boys sequels. Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi 1983. Kingsman: The Secret Service 2014. Given that Harry Hart wasn't the dead after all in the Golden Circle, why can't people just stay dead after being seemingly killed off? I'm not a fan of them in general, but it's been pointed out that the quandary of Eastwood's character in Dirty Harry, and the decision he has to make and makes go by the book and arrest Scorpio or take vengeance on Scorpio and thus no longer be a cop is undone by there being any sequels in which he is still a cop. I thought Saw was perfect for a standalone. I found the train of torture PR and that followed completely unnecessary. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. There is both a prequel and a sort of sequel, both of which are dumb. Halloween. Everything after Halloween and 2 except for Age 20 didn't happen, as far as I'm concerned. Never-ending story. It didn't need any sequels and the last one I saw with the whole Rock family was horrible. Blues Brothers, in my mind, is literally the perfect movie. There was no need for another one. It had great music, it was hilarious, and there will never be anything like it ever again. The second one tainted its legacy. Star Wars should have ended after the prequel trilogy. I would have been cool with them doing the spin-off shows and stuff to explore the Star Wars universe more, but I could have done without the sequel trilogy. The thing with sequels is that they usually don't affect what happened in the original or one's interpretation of it to ruin it. Not a movie, but a sequel effectively ruining the original installment by a retcon is the musical Love Never Dies, the sequel to Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera. It's like KLW didn't even pay attention to the first installment. Hot take, but Blade Runner 2049. While yes, I think it was a good movie, we should never have known if Rick Deckard was a replicant or not. Aliens. Alien 3 is a pretty good movie but a horrible sequel to the Aliens and how it dealt with all the characters. Yeah, gonna have to go with The Matrix. It ended perfectly and with solid resolution to the story. So to tack on sequels basically meant undoing all of that, and since you gotta do sequels bigger and better, it was an end-to-end shitshow. Pirates of the Caribbean, Iron Eagle, The Last Crusade, Toy Story 3, not a movie, but the first season of Westworld, Joker. You're left with an open question of whether the movie happened at all, and then they did a sequel,